When I pressed play on that audio recording and heard my wife's voice mixed with his through the restaurant speakers, I watched her face drain of every drop of color it had. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this all started. Welcome to Cheating Story Exposed. Real stories, real justice, no sugarcoating. You know what? I notice many of you watching haven't hit that subscribe button yet. Here's the thing, we drop stories like this every single day. Stories about people who got played, got smart, and got even. If you want to see how these situations really end, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. My name is Connor, and I'm a financial analyst. I'm the guy who notices patterns, tracks numbers, and catches discrepancies others miss. It's what I do for a living, and apparently it's what saved me from wasting more years on a lie. I'd been married to my wife, Lauren, for 7 years. We met in college, dated for 3 years before getting married, and from the outside we looked like the success story everyone wants. Good careers, nice house in the suburbs, active social life. We were that couple other people envied. About 2 years ago, we started an anniversary fund. The plan was simple and something we were both excited about. Every month, we'd each contribute $500 into a dedicated savings account. By our 10th anniversary, we'd have enough for a dream trip to Italy, something we'd talked about since our honeymoon. Rome, Florence, Venice, the Amalfi Coast. Lauren had Pinterest boards full of ideas. I had spreadsheets tracking our progress, calculating how we could maybe even extend the trip if we stayed disciplined. The fund was Lauren's idea originally, and I loved it. It showed commitment to our future, to making memories together. We'd check the balance together once a month, usually over a nice dinner at home, talking about which regions we'd visit, what wines. We'd try which hotels looked most romantic. Those moments felt sacred. They felt like us building something meaningful. Everything changed 4 months ago on a Tuesday afternoon. I was working from home, finishing up a quarterly report when I got an alert on my phone. Our anniversary fund account had a withdrawal, $800. I stared at the notification, confused. We'd agreed never to touch that money unless it was together for the trip. We had a whole separate emergency fund for unexpected expenses. I called Lauren immediately. She was at work, or at least she said she was at work. She answered on the third ring, and I could hear background noise that sounded like a cafe or restaurant, not her usual office environment. I kept my voice casual. Lauren, hey, did you withdraw money from the anniversary account? There was a pause, just a half second too long. Then she laughed, this forced kind of laugh that didn't reach anywhere near genuine. Oh my God, yes, I meant to tell you. Olivia had an emergency. Her car broke down and she needed a tow and rental car. I told her we'd cover it and she'd pay us back this week. I promise, babe, the money will go right back in. Olivia was Lauren's best friend since high school. They were close, sure, but $800 close. Without even texting me first. Still, I didn't want to be that husband who interrogated his wife over helping a friend. Okay, I said. Just let me know when she pays it back so I can update my spreadsheet. Lauren laughed again, more naturally this time. You and your spreadsheets. Love you. Talk tonight. But that night when I casually mentioned Olivia's car trouble during dinner, asking if everything got sorted out, Lauren's face went blank for just a moment before she recovered. Oh yeah, totally fine now. She's so grateful. Then she changed the subject to something about her coworker's drama. I noticed, but I didn't push. Not yet. 2 weeks later, another withdrawal. $950. This time I didn't call first. I waited until Lauren got home from work. When she walked in, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open, showing our bank account. Before I could say anything, she saw the screen and immediately launched into an explanation. I know how this looks. Mom had a medical bill that insurance didn't cover. She was freaking out about it affecting her credit, and you know how tight things are for them since Dad's hours got cut. I told her we'd take care of it. It's family, Connor. Her mother had been having some health issues, that was true. And Lauren's parents weren't wealthy. The explanation made sense on the surface, but something in my gut twisted. When was the last time Lauren had mentioned her mom having a doctor's appointment? I couldn't remember. Still, what was I going to do? Call my mother-in-law and verify a medical bill? That seemed insane, controlling, so I nodded. Next time, can we just discuss it first? That's a lot of money to move without checking in. Of course, she said, kissing my forehead. I should have asked. I'm sorry. The third withdrawal came 3 weeks after that. $1,200. I saw it while I was at the office. This time I didn't call. I didn't text. I opened my laptop and started doing what I do best, analyzing data. I pulled up 6 months of our bank statements, credit card bills, everything. I created a spreadsheet tracking Lauren's spending patterns, cross-referencing with her calendar, her typical locations, her stated plans. What I found made my blood run cold. On the day of that first $800 withdrawal, Lauren had posted on Instagram from a downtown boutique, tagging herself in the late afternoon. Her office was north of downtown. The boutique was 5 blocks from the Sterling Hotel, one of the nicest hotels in the city. On the day of the second withdrawal, her location history showed she'd been near the airport, nowhere near her parents' house, which was west of the city. And on the day of this third withdrawal, her credit card showed a charge at a restaurant I'd never heard of in a neighborhood she had no reason to be in. I sat at my desk, staring at the patterns emerging from the numbers, and felt something crack inside my chest. I'm an analyst. I trust data. And the data was telling me a story I didn't want to believe, but I couldn't confront her with suspicions. I needed proof, concrete, undeniable proof. That evening, I told Lauren I needed to work late on a project. Instead, I drove to our bank and requested detailed transaction records for the anniversary account. The banker, a woman named Patricia who'd helped us set up the account originally, seemed concerned by my expression. "Is everything all right, Mr. Morrison?" "Everything's fine," I lied. "Just need to track some spending for tax purposes." She printed everything I needed, and I noticed her sympathetic look. She'd probably seen this scenario before. Back in my car, I went through every withdrawal over the past 4 months. 8 instances total. Amounts ranging from $500 to $1,200, over $7,000 gone from our dream trip fund. I cross-referenced each withdrawal date with Lauren's social media, her calendar, and her credit card statements. A pattern emerged so clearly it might as well have been highlighted. Every withdrawal happened on days when Lauren had supposedly worked late, met up with friends, or attended evening yoga classes she'd recently started. I pulled up her credit card statement more carefully. The evening yoga studio she claimed to attend twice a week. No charges there, not one. But there were charges at restaurants, coffee shops, and parking garages all clustered in the same downtown area, near multiple hotels. My hands shook as I held the papers. I'd been married to this woman for 7 years, loved her for 10, and I was looking at evidence that she was living a double life. I needed absolute proof before I did anything. Accusations without evidence would just give her the chance to gaslight me, to make me feel crazy, to spin a story I might actually believe because I wanted to believe it. I went home that night and acted completely normal. I asked about her day. We watched a show together. I held her hand on the couch, and inside I was already planning my next moves like a chess game. The following day, I called a friend from college, Marcus, who'd become a private investigator after leaving law enforcement. We met for coffee, and I laid out everything I'd found. He listened without interrupting, taking notes. When I finished, he looked at me with a mix of professionalism and sympathy. "I can help you, but I need to be honest. Based on what you're describing, the probability that she's having an affair is extremely high. The question is whether you want to know for sure or if you'd rather try to repair things from where you are now." "I want to know everything," I said. "No doubts. No gaps, whatever it takes." Marcus agreed to tail Lauren for 2 weeks, documenting her movements, taking photographs, gathering evidence. It would cost me $3,000. I didn't hesitate. I paid him up front from my personal account, money she couldn't track. Some people might think hiring a pie is extreme or shows lack of trust. Those people have never felt the ground disappear beneath them while their partner smiles at them over dinner. Trust requires honesty. Verification isn't paranoia, it's due diligence. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life of my own. During the day, I worked my normal job, attended meetings, analyzed portfolios. In the evenings, I came home to Lauren, cooked dinners together, watched movies, made love like nothing was wrong. And late at night, after she fell asleep, I'd review the preliminary reports Marcus sent me. Photos of Lauren meeting a man I didn't recognize outside a downtown office building. Photos of them having lunch together, his hand on her lower back. Photos of them entering the Sterling Hotel together at 3 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. She told me she had an all-day training session at work that day. The man's name was Derek Thornton. Marcus identified him within 4 days. He was a sales executive at a company Lauren's firm occasionally worked with. 34 years old, divorced, no kids. He drove a Tesla and lived in a trendy loft downtown. He was, objectively speaking, conventionally attractive in that generic way: tall, fit, styled hair, expensive watches. Looking at his photos made me sick, not because I was jealous of his looks, but because this was the person my wife had chosen to betray me with. This was who was worth destroying our marriage over. Marcus's final report arrived exactly 2 weeks after we'd started. It was 47 pages long, including photographs, timelines, location data, even receipts from parking garages that showed both Lauren and Derek's cars parked on the same levels within minutes of each other. The evidence was overwhelming and irrefutable. They'd met 11 times in those 2 weeks alone. 3 times at hotels, the Sterling twice and the Grandview Hotel once. 4 times at restaurants, 3 times at his loft. 1 time at a park where Marcus captured photos of them kissing on a bench like teenagers. The worst part, reading the timeline and seeing how calculated it all was. How she'd tell me she was having dinner with Olivia, then spend 3 hours at Derek's place. How she'd claim early morning yoga, then meet him for breakfast at a cafe where they'd sit close, feeding each other bites of food. Every lie was premeditated. Every betrayal was a choice she made consciously, repeatedly, while looking me in the eye and saying, "I love you." I sat in my home office at 2 in the morning, Lauren asleep upstairs in our bed, reading through Marcus's report for the 3rd time. I felt hollow. Not angry yet, that would come later. Right then, I just felt empty. The woman I'd built my life with, who I'd trusted completely, had been stealing from our future to fund an affair. The cruelty of it was almost artistic. She wasn't just cheating. She was taking money we'd saved for our dream together and spending it on hotel rooms with another man. But I still needed one more thing. I needed her to be caught in a way she couldn't deny, couldn't spin, couldn't minimize. I needed undeniable truth that would shut down every possible excuse. And that's when I had an idea that was either brilliant or insane. Probably both. I called Marcus back the next morning from my car during my commute. "I have a question, and it might be unethical, so just hear me out." He laughed. "Connor, I'm a pie. My job is often ethically gray. What do you need?" I explained my plan. His response was silence for a long moment, then a low whistle. "That's bold. Possibly illegal depending on how it's done. But if you're asking if it's possible, yes, it's possible." 2 days later, I knew Derek and Lauren's next hotel visit was scheduled for a Thursday afternoon. Marcus had tracked their pattern. They met every Tuesday and Thursday between 2 and 5 p.m. at the Sterling Hotel. I called the hotel directly and asked about extended stay suites. The Sterling was a high-end business hotel with multi-room suites designed for executives in town for conferences. It was expensive, but I didn't care anymore. Money was no longer the concern, truth was. I explained to the manager that I needed a suite on a specific floor for a week, specifically the suite directly above room 412. The room Marcus had confirmed Lauren and Derek regularly booked. The manager was hesitant until I explained I was conducting a legal investigation with my attorney's knowledge, which was technically true. I'd consulted a divorce lawyer who'd confirmed that in our state, recording in a hotel room you've legally rented is within your rights. I paid for a week up front, $2,800. I figured it was fitting, using what remained of our anniversary fund for its final purpose, revealing the truth. The suite was beautiful in a way that felt mocking. Expensive furniture, a full kitchen, a separate bedroom, and a bathroom with a rainfall shower. In the living room, directly above where room 412's bed would be, I set up my equipment. I'd purchased a high-end contact microphone system, the kind used for wildlife recording or surveillance. I placed the microphone flat against the floor, connected to a digital recorder with timestamp features. I tested it by walking around, talking, playing music from my phone. The audio quality was startlingly clear. Then I waited. I took the week off work, telling my boss I needed personal time. I told Lauren I was going on a solo fishing trip with some college friends, a tradition I'd actually done before, so it was believable. She seemed almost relieved, kissing me goodbye with enthusiasm that now felt like performance. "Have fun, baby. Catch something big." The irony of her words would have been funny if they didn't hurt so much. I arrived at the Sterling on Thursday morning, hours before their usual 2 p.m. check-in time. I set up the recording equipment, tested it again, then sat on the sofa with my laptop, working remotely on actual projects to keep my mind occupied. At 1:47 p.m., the recorder's audio feed picked up voices below. I put on my headphones and listened. It was them. Lauren's voice was unmistakable, even muffled through the floor. And his voice, Derek's, responded with that casual confidence of someone who thinks they're getting away with something. For the next 2 hours and 36 minutes, I recorded everything. Their conversation, their laughter, the sounds of intimacy that made me want to throw the equipment through the window. But I didn't. I sat there, professional and detached, like I was analyzing any other data set. At one point, I heard Lauren say something that made my stomach turn. He never notices anything. He's so buried in his spreadsheets and numbers. I swear I could walk in wearing your cologne and he wouldn't even question it. Derek laughed. Good, makes things easier for us. The recording was my evidence. Undeniable, time-stamped, crystal clear. I had 43 minutes of usable audio that painted a complete picture of who my wife really was when she thought no one was watching. But I didn't confront her yet. I had one more move to make, and it required patience. Our 10th anniversary was 5 weeks away. Lauren had been planning a dinner celebration for months, a reservation at Marcello's, the Italian restaurant where I'd proposed to her 7 years earlier. She'd invited both sets of parents, her brother and his wife, and Olivia with her husband. 12 people total at a private dining room she'd reserved. The irony of celebrating our anniversary with money she'd stolen from our anniversary fund wasn't lost on me. But I let her plan it all, helped her choose the menu, acted excited and loving. During those 5 weeks, I met with a divorce attorney and prepared my exit strategy. I documented everything, backed up all evidence to cloud storage and physical copies stored in my office desk. I opened a separate bank account and quietly moved half our savings into it. I spoke to a therapist twice, trying to process everything in a healthy way before I detonated my life. The therapist asked me if I'd considered couples counseling, trying to work through it. I showed her the timeline of lies, the amount of money stolen, the recordings. She nodded slowly. Sometimes the foundation is too damaged to rebuild. You need to do what protects your well-being. I also prepared the technical aspects of my plan. I consulted with an audio engineer friend, explaining I needed to play a recording during a dinner party through a restaurant sound system. He helped me edit the recording to remove dead space, isolate the clearest conversations, and export it in a format that would play cleanly through standard speakers. The edited version was 12 minutes long, carefully curated to include Lauren's voice clearly identifying herself, Derek's voice responding, explicit details about their affair timeline, the mocking comments about me, and enough intimate sounds to remove any doubt about what was happening. The night before our anniversary dinner, I barely slept. I lay next to Lauren in our bed, watching her sleep peacefully, and wondered if she felt any guilt at all. In the morning, she woke up cheerful and excited. "Happy anniversary, baby. 10 years. Can you believe it?" I kissed her forehead. 10 years feels surreal. She had no idea how true that statement was. We spent the day apart. She got her hair and nails done with Olivia. I supposedly ran errands, but actually did a final equipment check with my audio engineer friend at Marcello's. The restaurant owner, Mr. Rossini, was an old-school Italian man who'd known my father for years. When I explained what I needed to do and why, his face darkened with anger on my behalf. "This is disrespect to marriage, to family. You do what you need, Connor. I give you whatever help you need." He personally ensured my audio setup would work seamlessly with their sound system. That evening, I picked Lauren up at home. She looked beautiful in a navy blue dress I'd bought her for Christmas. Seeing her made my heart ache because I still loved the person I'd thought she was. But that person didn't exist. That person was a character she played while the real Lauren stole and lied and laughed about it with another man. "You look incredible," I told her, because she did. She beamed. "So do you. I'm so glad we're doing this." We arrived at Marcello's before the guests. The private dining room was elegant. Exposed brick walls, soft lighting from vintage fixtures, a long wooden table set with white linens and fresh flowers. Lauren walked around the room, adjusting place cards, making sure everything was perfect. I watched her, this woman orchestrating a celebration of a marriage she was actively destroying, and felt a calm settle over me. Tonight, the pretending ended. Our guests arrived in waves. Both sets of parents first, my mom and dad, who'd been married 42 years, and Lauren's parents together for 38 years. Then her brother Nathan with his wife, then Olivia and her husband. Everyone hugged, exchanged greetings, complimented the restaurant. Lauren was in her element, playing the perfect wife, the gracious host. She'd seated herself at the head of the table, me to her right. Strategic positioning. When things went wrong, she'd be the center of attention. Dinner progressed through appetizers and salads. Conversation flowed easily, our parents sharing stories from our wedding, Nathan teasing Lauren about her childhood, Olivia making toasts about friendship and love. Lauren kept squeezing my hand under the table, leaning over to whisper how perfect this was, how happy she was. Each whisper felt like a knife. I smiled and played my role, checking my phone periodically like I was monitoring work emails. Actually, I was coordinating timing with Mr. Rossini. Main courses arrived, osso buco, seafood risotto, handmade pasta dishes. Wine flowed freely. Lauren proposed a toast. To 10 years of marriage, she said, standing and raising her glass. To Connor, who makes me laugh every day, who supports my dreams, who's my best friend and my love. To many more years together. Everyone clinked glasses. Her parents looked emotional. My mother dabbed her eyes. I raised my glass and drank, tasting nothing. That's when I stood. I pulled out my phone and caught Mr. Rossini's eye across the room. He nodded and dimmed the dining room lights slightly, then moved toward the sound system control panel. Everyone quieted, expecting me to make a return toast. Instead, I set my phone down and looked directly at Lauren. I do want a toast, I said, but first I think everyone should know what we're really celebrating tonight. Lauren's smile faltered slightly. Connor, what? I raised a hand gently. Please, just listen. You've all been so generous with your love and support of our marriage. You deserve to know the truth about what our 10th anniversary actually represents. I nodded to Mr. Rossini. He pressed play on the audio file. The restaurant speakers were high quality, designed for subtle background music. They delivered my edited recording with perfect clarity. Lauren's voice filled the room first, crystal clear and unmistakable. God, I needed this. Connor's been so clingy lately. It's suffocating. Derek's voice responded. You're here now, that's what matters. Does he still have no idea? Lauren laughed, that same laugh I'd heard through our bedroom walls for 10 years. None. He never notices anything. He's so buried in his spreadsheets and numbers. I swear I could walk in wearing your cologne and he wouldn't even question it. The table had gone completely silent. Everyone's eyes shifted between the speakers, me and Lauren, whose face had transformed from confused to horrified in seconds. The recording continued. Sounds of movement, intimate conversation about how long they had before Lauren needed to get home. Derek asking about our anniversary fund. Lauren explaining how easy it was to take money out without me noticing, how she'd been funding their hotel rooms with it for months. Our Italy trip money is paying for our fun. He's saving for a dream vacation I'm never taking with him. Lauren stood abruptly, knocking her wine glass over. Red wine spread across the white tablecloth like blood. Connor, stop this. Stop it right now. I didn't stop. The recording played on, 12 minutes that felt eternal. Her brother stood up, face red with rage. What the hell, Lauren? What is this? Their mother had both hands over her mouth, tears already streaming. Her father sat frozen, staring at his daughter like he didn't recognize her. My own parents looked at me with heartbroken sympathy. My mother reached across and gripped my father's hand. Olivia, Lauren's best friend, was staring at Lauren with open-mouthed shock. You've been lying to me too. All those times you said you were with me, you were with him. Lauren tried to speak over the recording, but Derek's voice kept cutting through whatever she said. The worst part of the recording, the part I'd placed near the end, was when Derek asked if she'd ever leave me. Lauren's response was chilling. Maybe eventually, but why would I rush? I get financial stability with Connor and passion with you. Best of both worlds until I decide I want something different. When the recording finally ended, the silence in that dining room was deafening. 12 people sat or stood frozen, processing what they'd just heard. Lauren was crying, makeup running down her face, but she wasn't leaving. She stood there exposed with nowhere to hide. I kept my voice level and calm. For the past 4 months, Lauren has withdrawn over $7,000 from our anniversary savings account. Money we plan to use for our 10th anniversary trip to Italy. She used that money to pay for hotel rooms where she's been having an affair with a man named Derek Thornton. I have bank records, private investigator reports, photographs, and time-stamped evidence of everything. Lauren's father stood slowly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. He looked at his daughter with an expression I'd never seen before, complete devastation mixed with disgust. How could you do this? To Connor? To your marriage? To your family? Lauren reached toward him. Daddy, please, I can explain. No, he cut her off sharply. There's nothing to explain. We all just heard you. In your own words. Her mother was sobbing openly now. Nathan had his arm around his wife, both of them staring at Lauren like she was a stranger. Olivia stood and walked to the other side of the table, physically distancing herself from her best friend. I need to leave, Olivia said quietly. I can't be here. Her husband followed her out without a word. I turned to my parents. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry you had to hear this like this, but I needed everyone who loves us to understand the truth before Lauren had a chance to control the narrative or make me seem crazy. My father nodded, standing to embrace me. You did the right thing, son. Your mother and I are here for whatever you need. They left quietly, my mother kissing my cheek and whispering, you deserve so much better than this. Lauren's family stood in a cluster, her father's arm around her still sobbing mother. Nathan looked at me with genuine respect. Connor, I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry she did this to you. If you need anything during the divorce, character witness, or whatever, I'm here. They left together, Lauren calling after them desperately, but none of them turned back. Finally, it was just Lauren and me in that dining room, the ruined dinner spread across the table, wine still dripping onto the floor, the weight of destroyed lives hanging in the air. She tried one last time. Connor, please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. That recording, it's not what it sounds like. I laughed, not with humor, but with disbelief. Not what it sounds like? Lauren, you explicitly described stealing our anniversary money to pay for hotel rooms. You mocked me for trusting you. You said you're keeping me around for financial stability. Which part of that isn't what it sounds like? She collapsed into her chair, still crying, but I noticed the tears seemed more about getting caught than genuine remorse. How did you find out? I rented the suite above room 412 at the Sterling. I recorded everything through the floor. I've spent 2 months gathering evidence. The time for gaslighting me is over. I filed for divorce this morning. You'll be served papers tomorrow. I've already moved half our savings to a separate account, exactly what's legally mine. I've documented every dollar you stole from our anniversary fund, and my attorney assures me you'll be responsible for repaying that in the divorce settlement. Her face shifted then, from devastated wife to something colder. Fine, she said, voice hard. You want to destroy me. You want to ruin my life over a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, Lauren. Mistakes are one-time accidents. You had a planned, ongoing affair for at least 4 months that I can prove, probably longer. You stole thousands of dollars. You lied to everyone who loved you. Those are choices, not mistakes. She stood, grabbed her purse, and walked to the dining room door. I turned back once. You'll regret this, Connor, making a spectacle, humiliating me like this. People will think you're psychotic. I shook my head. No, Lauren, they'll think I'm someone who refused to be a fool. There's a difference. She left. I heard her heels clicking on the restaurant floor, then the front door closing. Mr. Rossini appeared in the doorway, his expression sympathetic. The meal is taken care of, Connor. No charge. I'm sorry this happened to you. But you have courage. That matters. I thanked him and sat alone in that dining room for another 20 minutes, staring at the place settings, the uneaten food, the spilled wine. The ruins of my marriage spread out before me like a crime scene. The divorce was brutal but mercifully quick. Lauren tried initially to claim I'd violated her privacy by recording her, but my attorney shut that down immediately. I'd rented and occupied the suite legally, and in our state, I had every right to record in a space I'd paid for. Lauren's attorney tried to argue emotional distress and public humiliation, but when my attorney produced the full evidence packet, the bank records, the PI reports, the timeline of lies, they settled fast. Lauren would get her portion of our marital assets, but had to repay the $7,000 she'd stolen from our anniversary fund. She would not get alimony. The house would be sold and proceeds split evenly. During the proceedings, I learned more than I wanted to know. The affair had actually been going on for 8 months, not 4. Derek Thornton had already moved on to someone else by the time divorce papers were filed. Lauren's relationship with her family remained fractured. Her mother eventually forgave her, but her father and brother kept their distance. Olivia cut her off completely. Lauren ended up moving 3 states away for a new job, starting over somewhere no one knew what she'd done. As for me, I threw myself into rebuilding. Therapy helped me process the betrayal without becoming bitter. I sold the house and bought a downtown loft, smaller but mine alone. I traveled to Italy by myself that next summer, finally taking the trip we'd planned. Rome, Florence, Venice, the Amalfi Coast. I stayed in beautiful hotels, ate incredible food, and learned that dreams don't die just because the person you planned them with wasn't who you thought they were. Dreams evolve. I dated casually for a while, nothing serious, just learning to trust again slowly. About a year after the divorce was finalized, I met someone at a work conference. Her name is Andrea. She's a tax attorney, brilliant and funny and honest in a way that feels radical after living with lies. We've been together for 6 months now, taking things slow, building something on a foundation of actual trust. She knows the whole story because I refused to start anything new with secrets. Her response when I told her everything was simple. That took courage, both exposing the truth and learning to trust again. I respect that. People ask me sometimes if I regret the way I handled it. If playing that recording at our anniversary dinner was too harsh, too public, too cruel. My answer is always the same. Lauren made her choices privately but with public consequences. She involved our families in her deception every time she smiled through a holiday dinner while carrying on an affair. She involved our friends every time she used them as alibis for her lies. The public revelation matched the scope of the betrayal. Would quietly divorcing have been easier? For her, absolutely. For me? No. I needed everyone to know the truth before she could rewrite history and paint me as the villain. The anniversary fund money was eventually repaid to me through the divorce settlement. I donated it all to a local organization that provides counseling for people dealing with infidelity and divorce. Turning that poisoned money into something that helps others heal felt right. The spreadsheet I'd kept tracking our dream trip is still on my computer, archived but not deleted. It's a reminder of who I was before, someone who believed in plans and trust in the person I married. I'm different now. Wiser, more cautious, but not closed off. Just more selective. I ran into Lauren once about 9 months after everything ended, pure coincidence at a coffee shop near my office. She looked tired, older somehow, though it had less than a year. We made eye contact, and for a moment neither of us moved. Then she approached my table. "Connor, hey, can we talk for a minute?" I gestured to the empty chair. She sat, ordered a coffee, and we existed in awkward silence until it arrived. She spoke first. "I owe you an apology, a real one. What I did was unforgivable. The lying, the stealing, the betrayal, all of it. I've been in therapy trying to understand why I destroyed something good. I still don't have a complete answer, but I know I was selfish and cruel and you deserved none of it." I listened without interrupting. She continued. "The way you exposed it that night, I was so angry at first. Felt like you were punishing me publicly. But my therapist helped me see that I'd already made it public by involving all those people in my lies. You just revealed what was already there. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand now what I threw away." I took a sip of my coffee, considering my words carefully. "I appreciate you saying that, Lauren, genuinely. I hope therapy helps you figure out whatever led you to make those choices. For what it's worth, I don't hate you. I'm angry still, yeah, and hurt. But I also hope you find a way to be honest with yourself and whoever comes into your life next." She nodded, tears in her eyes but not falling. "You seem like you're doing okay." "Better than I expected." "I am," I said. "It took work, but I'm building something better, something real." We talked for another 10 minutes, surface-level conversation about work and life changes, carefully avoiding anything too deep. When she left, she touched my shoulder briefly. "Thank you for not being as cruel as I deserved. You could have destroyed me completely." "You did that to yourself," I said gently. "I just made sure people knew the truth." She nodded and walked out, and I haven't seen her since. Looking back now from where I sit today, 2 years past that anniversary dinner, I see the entire experience as a harsh education in human nature and my own resilience. I learned that trust isn't weakness. Betrayal of trust is. I learned that love without honesty is just performance. I learned that strategic patience and undeniable evidence matter more than emotional confrontation. And I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. Strong enough to face devastating truth. Strong enough to walk away from a life that looked perfect but was rotten underneath. Strong enough to rebuild from scratch. The recording I made, the evidence I gathered, the public revelation at that dinner, all of it came from a place of needing absolute truth in a situation built on lies. Some people might call it revenge. I call it accountability. Lauren made her choices in secret, banking on my ignorance and trust. I simply dragged those choices into the light and let them speak for themselves. Her own words, her own voice, her own admissions condemned her more effectively than any accusation I could have made. I still believe in marriage, in commitment, in building a life with someone. But I believe in it with the understanding that it requires two people choosing each other honestly every single day. The moment that honesty breaks, everything else is just theater. I won't be an actor in someone else's play again. Andrea understands this. We have hard conversations. We check in. We've agreed that if either of us ever feels disconnected or tempted to look elsewhere, we talk about it first before any betrayal happens. It might sound clinical or unromantic to some people, but to me, it's the most romantic thing possible, choosing to protect what we're building with transparency. The Sterling Hotel is still downtown. I drive past it sometimes on my way to meetings. I don't feel anything when I see it anymore. No anger, no pain, just a factual acknowledgement that it's a building where something important happened. The suite I rented, the recording I made, they were tools I needed at a specific moment in time. I don't regret using them. I'd do it again exactly the same way because the alternative was living indefinitely in a fog of lies and manipulation. My relationship with my ex-in-laws is polite but distant. Lauren's mother sent me a Christmas card last year with a note apologizing for her daughter's actions and wishing me well. Her father and brother reached out a few months after the divorce to take me to dinner, their way of saying they respected how I'd handled things. We don't stay in regular contact, but there's mutual respect there. They lost a daughter and sister in some ways that night, not physically, but the person they thought they knew died in that dining room just as surely as my marriage did. I think about that anniversary fund sometimes, how excited we were when we started it, how it represented hope and shared dreams and a future we were building together. The fact that Lauren took that hope and weaponized it, used it to fund the destruction of what it was supposed to celebrate, remains the most painful irony of the whole situation. But pain teaches. I learned to protect my resources, my trust, and my future more carefully. I learned that hope is precious and should only be shared with people who have proven they value it as much as you do. The Italy trip I eventually took alone was transformative in ways I didn't expect. Walking through Rome without her, I realized I was grieving not just the loss of my marriage, but the loss of the future I'd imagined. Every street we'd planned to walk together, every restaurant we'd researched, every view we'd talked about sharing, I experienced them differently. Not sadly, but differently. I was creating new memories untainted by betrayal. I was reclaiming the dream she'd tried to steal. In Venice, I took a gondola ride at sunset by myself and felt genuinely happy for the first time since discovering the truth. It was possible to dream again, just with open eyes this time. If I could give advice to anyone facing similar betrayal, it would be this. Trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, investigate. Don't let fear of seeming controlling or paranoid stop you from seeking truth. Gather evidence methodically before confronting because liars will gaslight you if given the chance. Protect yourself financially and legally before making any moves. And when you do reveal the truth, do it in a way that prevents them from rewriting history. Public accountability isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It ensures that the story told is the true one, not the revised version a guilty person will create to protect their image. And finally, don't let betrayal make you bitter. It's easy to close off, to decide everyone lies, to never trust again. I almost went there. But bitterness is just continued victimhood. It lets the person who hurt you keep hurting you long after they're gone. Instead, I chose to be cautious but open, scarred but not broken, wiser but still willing to believe in genuine connection. That choice, to remain capable of love despite being betrayed, that's the real victory. Not the recording or the public revelation or the divorce settlement. The victory is standing here 2 years later, happy with someone new, planning a future I actually believe in this time, and knowing that I didn't let Lauren's cruelty turn me cruel. The suite above room 412, the recording equipment, the edited audio file, they're all just tools I used to uncover truth. The real work was everything that came after, rebuilding my sense of self, learning to trust my judgment again, understanding that I deserved better and refusing to accept less. That's the story that matters. Not the night I played a recording at an anniversary dinner, but the year of mornings after when I chose to get up, move forward and believe that somewhere ahead was something real. I'm 39 now. Single at 37 felt like failure initially, but now it feels like survival, then recovery, then renaissance. I have a life I designed intentionally, friends I trust deeply, a partner I'm building something genuine with, and absolute clarity about what I will and won't accept going forward. The man who sat in that hotel suite recording his wife's betrayal was heartbroken and desperate for truth. The man I am now has that truth and has built something better from the rubble. Lauren took our anniversary fund and used it to destroy our marriage. I took the evidence of that destruction and used it to rebuild my life. In the end, we both got exactly what we invested in. She invested in lies and got exposure and consequences. I invested in truth and got freedom and eventually joy. That's the only balance sheet that matters now. The recording still exists, backed up in multiple locations, though I'll never listen to it again. It served its purpose. The divorce is final, the chapter is closed, and I'm writing new pages now, ones where every word is honest, every commitment is real, and every person in my life has earned their place through integrity. That's what rising from betrayal looks like. Not revenge, not bitterness, but careful reconstruction of a life built on truth instead of comfortable lies. If you made it this far, thanks for listening to my story. Subscribe if you want more real stories like this. Hit the notification bell. And remember, trust your gut, protect yourself, and never accept less than you deserve. Life's too short to spend it performing in someone else's fake reality. Build something real instead. It's harder, but it's worth it.